I'm Greg Zanis, inventor of Dreamcar123.com. What you're looking at here is a crayon drawing that I made in the year 1954. I was 4 years old when I made this drawing, and I also have several other crayon drawings that I made when I was 4 years old. Back then, how did a child come up with this huge theory called Dreamcar123.com? I have drawings of tunnels, I have drawings of the pyramid buildings, I have drawings of hydroponic gardens and of light rays. And over here, you'll see a map of Mars. And on the map of Mars, you'll see Valley Marnus, where later we'll be showing you a video where we found a very similar glass tunnel to where the dream car goes through the tunnel itself. And on the tunnel, very similar to my tunnel, the dream car will be going through the tunnel, erratically going anywhere the countryside goes, but being inside a protective tunnel. Whether or not Mars has an atmosphere or not, if these tunnels would be on Mars, people would be able to live in these tunnels and in these buildings. Over here, this painting is called Mars Maze. It's a construction site on Mars, and what I've recreated on the surface of Mars are the tunnels again, with the dream cars going here and there, everywhere. When you're inside of the dream car and you're living on another planet, you have your own oxygen source, and you'll be able to continue living in a hostile environment. The number one thing that my project needs is sunlight coming down to the pyramid buildings. Also in this tunnel, you'll see construction that we'll talk to you more about later. I've already posted a video where we talk about how the B unit is popped out and built, and how it's bungee corded out will be up and coming another video. Over here, this is a 7-mile topography of any given planet and or the Earth. The car will be in an enclosed glass hallway, tunnelway system. You'll come to the building, you'll also be in a totally sealed and enclosed environment. This tunnel here is exactly like this tunnel here that you've all seen before, with the dream car in it. And you can see once it's in there, there's a sealed environment. Also over here, this painting I call New Chicago. And in that painting, you'll see the tunnel system again, over here to the right, with the tunnels going all the way through all these cities. This would theoretically be Aurora, the city you saw before, Joliet, Elgin, Crystal Lake, and Lake Geneva, and also the tunnels coming out of Chicago, hitting cities like Aurora and going out to Oregon, and coming out of Chicago, hitting cities like Joliet and going down to Springfield, Illinois, and eventually to California. If, in fact, the planet of Mars was covered with these tunnel systems, man could live on that planet because he would be in a totally oxygenated environment where he would grow his plants inside of the buildings that I've represented to you in other models, and then he'll be inside the tunnel system where he will be able to breathe oxygen all the time. I'd like to show you this video here and see how come I think all this works together.
Several 100-foot wide structure with translucent exterior, a brilliant sun glint, and evenly spaced ribs that looks for all the world like like an artificially constructed glass tunnel, which some have termed, like Arthur Clarke, a glass worm on the surface of a planet where it has, again, no business being. We have over a mile-long, curvilinear, convex structure with these extraordinary ribs that appear to be some kind of structural support. And right in the middle, there's a brilliant sun glint and a darker shadow, indicating in the model that this is a constructed object, that maybe it's a transportation tube. And this little thing, which actually is several hundred feet wide on the scale of the photograph, is perhaps a car, trapped in the middle of the tube when whatever disaster hit Mars and broke the tube at this point hit the planet. It's sometimes hard to gauge what's going on Mars from a two-dimensional photograph, so what we did was go to one of our Enterprise mission colleagues, Chris Joseph, and ask him to submit this image to a shape from shading algorithm. What that allows us to do is to recreate a three-dimensional construction of the two-dimensional form. And what we clearly see is an undulating glass-like tunnel with a sharp break at the position of the car, continuing on down the valley, as one would expect of a greatly eroded ancient artificial structure on the planet Mars. Because this is such a controversial discovery, what we did was what you do in any science, go to another opinion. So we got Kinthea and Fred Torres to generate a moving animated diagram of the same structure, using the same shape from shading algorithm. And what you see here is a pan around this little valley, and then the tube. And if you look carefully over here, you can see that there's a definite 3D structure to this object with regular spaced ribbing high above the valley floor. Whatever these are, they are not sand dunes. They appear to be structural components of a tube. And as we continue to pan down this valley, which was created by some unknown geological process long after this tube was ever built, you can see that these ribs are on the edges of the valley, not along the floor, something again that sand dunes just don't do. So what we seem to be seeing is the most extraordinary Mars surveyor find, namely a huge work of megalithic engineering lying on an ancient Martian plain. The great mystery.
So, again, I ask myself this question. Lately, it's been brought to my attention. Greg, how did you come up with this project? And my standard answer is I've always had this knowledge. I don't know how I've had it. When we applied for the patents, they wanted to know what was the moment of conception for this. And when I told them that ever since I have memory, I remember all of this project. So what am I asking? I'm asking myself, could I possibly have all of these inventions all by myself? Could God have given me these inventions? Could maybe some form of DNA already be planted in me, that all of a sudden it's awoken, and here I am, thousands of years later, and just a couple of days ago I saw this video that you just watched. It just amazes me because I see, as he said, a glass tunnel. He says, there's a car stuck in there. He says it's broken. Could the entire planet have possibly done one of several things? Maybe every time we look at a meteor, maybe it's not a meteor. Maybe they nuked themselves. Maybe they nuked themselves on the moon. I don't have these answers. These are theories. But at one time, Mars was more than 1/3 covered with water according to this map again. I'd like to show it to you again. If you notice, all of the high grounds, there's a ton of either what looks like meteors and or nuclear bombs, and all of the lower grounds that could have been oceans at that time have no meteors in it except for this one volcano, Olympus. And I'm Greg Zanis, inventor of Dreamcar 123. Question is, where did this come from?